Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Time now is 1 o'clock, and we know what that means. Time for the facility management masterclass. Well, no, the lunch hour, right? The lunch hour today. I'm so passionate about what we do with the FM Masterclass Diploma. It's almost something that resonates with virtually everything I do. Um, One program that we have built over the years, and it's still making waves. So yes, today we're going to be looking at sustainability best practices. I'm just going to confirm that my audio is good.
Yes, it is.
And you can see my slide.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much for your confirmation. Okay. Is my slide still? Okay, so today we're taking a look at this very interesting topic, sustainability best practices. And I think sustainability has become somewhat of a fad, something that just sounds like it's time for it, sounds like it's raining, sounds like the whole world is going in that direction. But we cannot overlook the facts. So the fact is that the Earth's resources is being depleted faster than it can be regenerated or recreated. The fact is that quality of life and well-being of people on the Earth is getting worse with increasing population, pollution, and the likes. The fact that materials and resources are being used or wasted at a rate that is not something that the Earth, the mother, the resource provider can cope with. We have to start thinking about creative ways to live our lives in such a way that we can be okay in our own generation, in our own lifetime, and also ensure that future generations of people will also be able to inhabit the earth, enjoy the resources that we have now, and leave something for future generations. We hope that if we all start thinking sustainability, we'll be able to create a continuous perpetuation of life and well-being for the human race on the earth. That is thinking about it from the ethical standpoint, from the standpoint of morality, from the nice, we are good people, standpoint, and we don't want to be perceived as greedy or selfish or wicked. But again, if you look at it purely from the standpoint of what makes business sense. What makes business sense? You realize that sustainability is the only way forward. Businesses come up and dwindle and die, down to the fact that they don't implement sustainability. People start some very fantastic ideas, come up with innovations, beyond things that people have not even imagined could happen, being achieved. But without a sustainability model built into it, it's just going to end with the next bright and beautiful idea that comes in. And then if we take it down to our personal lives and our family lives and the way we raise children, the way we take decisions at home, if you don't want to live a life of had I known, or I used to be, a life of regrets where things have come your way, you've been in certain positions, you've had certain resources at your disposal, but now it's all gone and you are back to square one. You don't want to have that kind of life. Start thinking sustainability. So it's a whole lot when we talk sustainability. So at the surface, it's like what we should do because we care about humanity and the future of the world. But in reality, on the practical level, we need sustainability for our own growth and improvement now. So it's not something we're trying to do for another generation coming up after us. It's something we should do for ourselves so that in our whole lifetime we'll have the best of life, in everything we do. So with that little bit of an introduction, I just want to remind you all that our flagship training program, the Facility Management Mastercraft Diploma that has trained about 1,000 people in the last 7 years. It's currently running the 22nd batch. Classes will end for the batch in December. We're also recruiting for the January batch 2025, the FMMC 23. And we have rolled out some fantastic offers throughout the month of October, before this month ends. Subscribe to the FMMC, make your full payment, less 30%, a whopping 30% discount. In November, that discount drops to 20%. And in December, that discount drops to 10%. So now is the time to lock it in. If you have an ambition to be a better player in your industry, the built environment, whether you're in estates, whether you're in property, whether you're in construction, whether you're in design, architecture, engineering, anybody in the built environment, this is what you need to be that expert. If you want to is my screen still sharing? Okay, good. If you want to gain that promotion, you want to excel in your current job, you need the FM Mastercraft Diploma because it teaches you life skills, teaches you employability skills, it teaches you productivity skills, it teaches you relationship and management skills and so much more. So do not second guess your decisions. If you want to make a transition from one career that you are in into facility management because of the opportunities in facility management today, the demand is rising because organizations, estates, all types of public and private sector companies and corporations are looking for people to manage their physical assets for them. Because it is now obvious that the wastage, the loss of value, the asset deterioration that's happening because non-professionals are managing the built environment. It's making companies to look for professionals who have been given comprehensive training in the body of knowledge of facility management. So there's opportunity. There's opportunity for everyone, whether you're in administration, whether you're in design, architecture, estates, quantity survey, construction, project management, health and safety, management, public administration, community health, just anything that has to do with the human existence and the spaces that we occupy. You are welcome to take the facility management mastercraft diploma program. It's your program. And it expands the opportunities for you. It expands, your scope of coverage. Okay, and next class starts on January 6th. I need to mention that. But not everybody has, time to go through a 3 months program, be able to do an exam, carry out the practical projects that go with it. You just want to learn, just want to acquire the knowledge and skills. Yeah, come on. You may not, go through everything, but you can learn the whole skills. As a managing director, at whatever level you're operating your business, please come on board. And if you want to expand your business to include, managing of facilities and services for organizations, this is what you must do. This is what you must do. Okay, so let's see everyone. Come on, there's space for everyone in the FI Mastercraft diploma. So January 6th is the dates. Discounts 30% in October, 20% in November, and 10% in December. See very much on the table. All right. If you think like you want 1 day, 2 days, 3 days courses, we do have the regular high impact courses that we run. There's one coming up in November, the first week of November. It's just 245,000 for that one. 2 days, 3 days program that will give you some, focus improvements in what you're currently doing. And if you want us to come take any of these courses to your department to train your staff, very straightforward. Come forward, make the inquiry. We'll give you the proposal. It's just one fee per day to cover everybody you can bring on board. So it doesn't matter how many people you bring in there. We'll train them and certify them on just a single low cost for you. So corporate bookings, yes, very highly recommended. And you can do it in your own location, or you bring it to our training center here at the University of Lagos campus. So in today's sustainability best practices course, we're going to be looking at sustainability. But because I am an expert in facility management, there's going to be a lot of facility management focus. But again, everyone lives in one form of space or the other, right? We all live in some facilities, we work in others, we live all our lives, in the built environment. So it's sustainability that requires everyone to get to know. By the time you start talking about some of the things we need to do to implement sustainability, you realize that the manager of that space is helpless without the support and assistance of the building user. So this is generally mostly for everybody. No one is going to talk to us again now or encourage us now to the reality of energy, its costs, its implication on the environment, how it affects our operations, how disruptions in energy provision can lead to productivity losses and all kinds of things. So energy efficiency is a big objective for us in this session. And then you also have water, you have materials that we use, waste management, And then we'll also talk about some programs, some certifications that we can take our buildings through as we start working through sustainability, from baby steps to more advanced certifications that we can use to place a stamp of authority of our green credibility to the world through green building certifications. We'll talk about this so you get an idea of what that is. Okay, so that's our outline: energy management, water conservation, waste management, green building, sustainable procurement and materials, indoor environment quality, technological integration, how to report and resolve challenges and issues regarding our sustainability of our built environment. All right, so by way of definition, there was a definition given in in the United Nations Brundtland Commission study in 1987 that defines sustainability as we being able to live our lives in such a way that we can allow future generations to live their lives with the same resources we had access to in our current day. So that's part of what I introduced you with, right? How do we reduce the impact on the environment? How do we use resources efficiently? Key areas: water, energy, waste, materials that we use. How does this affect our operational costs and long-term efficiency? It's very important that we understand that it's not just about future generations, it's about how we will survive our current existence. And then there are eco-friendly materials and technologies to help enhance sustainability, from energy to water to the whole human experience in the facilities that we manage. Facility managers play a critical role in implementing sustainability policies that balance economic, environmental, and social responsibilities. Let me tell you why facility managers should be really, really interested in sustainability. First, we have a very great responsibility regarding sustainability. When I say very great responsibility, I'm talking about we are already culpable in almost 50% of impact, negative impact on the environment. The built environment, from construction waste, renovation waste, to operations and maintenance waste, and toxic that comes from the process of delivering our buildings and using them and discarding them. We're already that high in impact negatively. Then what about taking the resources of the earth? We use up water, we use up energy, we use up materials. We are also almost at that 40% mark. You can leave the rest for transportation, and other industries, agriculture and the rest. But the built environment is already 38 to 40% culpable in the rapid exploitation of the earth's resources. Okay, and so facility managers need to be conscious of the impact we are having in resource depletion, and also the impact we are having on waste contamination and toxic production that goes to the generator degrade the earth. And we think of sustainability in terms of multiple bottom lines, triple bottom line. Primarily, businesses will consider economic bottom line. How much did we make? How much are we spending? What are we getting in return? That's basically business calculations and analysis. But to introduce sustainability, you now have to introduce two more bottom lines. So the profit bottom line, which is the economic, and then we have now to add the social bottom line, which is the people, and then we have to have the planet bottom line, or the environmental bottom line, which is the planet. So you can say economic social and environment, or profits, people, and planet. So whichever way you look at it, the bottom line is that there must be a satisfaction of each of the three of them for you to have sustainability. There has to be a satisfaction of each of the three for you to have sustainability. Okay, so in other words, you can't make losses and say it's because we are trying to be sustainable. So we're not running our business without being profitable. No, 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 no. That's not sustainability. You cannot make profits, and in the place of making profits, of course, that requires cutting costs. You are now negatively impacting the environment. Profit is nullified by negative credentials from environmental impact. And you can say because we are helping the environment by not cutting down trees, for example, or by not using artificial lighting to see what we are doing, we now begin to create a negative impact on people. Lights are too dim, there's no water for cleanup, there is no, because we are saving costs and reducing our impact on the environment, so people have to suffer. So if you can't create a system, an operation that guarantees the well-being of people, also guarantees reduced, minimized impact on the environment, and at the same time is profitable economically. That balance is a continuous balance that must be created for you to say, this idea, this initiative, my entire operations is what is sustainable. Otherwise, it is not. Absolutely not sustainable. So for us in facility management, we must integrate sustainability into our operations. Because we want to reduce environmental footprint and support global environmental goals. Noble idea. But we can easily relate with the fact that we'll have long-term savings, right? We'll have long-term savings. We'll have increased profitability in our operations. We will also have a reduction in our waste generation. This will also bring about a better image for our organization, because you'll be seen as a good corporate citizen, a good corporate neighbor that supports environmental conscious operations. And then, this is one of the biggest impacts of integrating sustainability: occupant health, comfort, and productivity. When we integrate sustainability, we ensure that people are healthy and are well in our facilities. You will see one aspect of how we help to ensure that there is occupant health, comfort, and productivity. Indoor environment quality. There are other areas like economic considerations, and then all the other social arrangements that has to be in place for us to have a good working relationship in our spaces. Is all part of this sustainability conversation. And with sustainability now and a good reputation as an organization that supports sustainability, we will have investors, we'll have business partners, we will have supports from other organizations that are like-minded. And so our business will overall grow and improve better with sustainability. So globally, there's been a lot of emphasis on reducing carbon emissions, promoting green building standards, carbon emissions, everything that we do that generates heat, that creates radiation, that releases ozone, depleting substances into the environment. And all of these are everything from your generator running to your power systems and all the combustion, including toxic aerosol and the rest that we use in our facility. The whole idea of everything we do in transportation, everything we do in moving around things, in getting things done, use up some form of resources, materials, and energy. And all of those come from, has carbon impacts in the environment. There are also regulatory requirements now that are pushing for energy efficiency and sustainable resource management in facilities. In fact, our own building code has a section that prescribes energy efficiency. So it's no longer something like you're feeling good about that differentiates you. It's now a compliance to code or laws to be sustainable, especially in the area of energy efficiency. And then there are, because energy is the biggest aspect of sustainability, there are new, resources, the renewable energy sources and technologies like solar panels, energy efficient HVAC system, all kinds of new approaches to reduce. Now, so we don't necessarily want to reduce the amount of energy we consume, right? We want to improve the performance or efficiency of our energy consumption. How do you improve performance or efficiency? You compare the energy you use to the energy use driver, or what is consuming the energy, which is your productivity. So if I produce, an hour of comfortable space for one person, right, using a certain amount of energy, can I produce that same, comfortable space with a lesser energy, right? That's the whole idea. So as my productivity increases, number of people I'm providing services for increases, my total energy consumption will still increase. But the energy used per person will drop because I'm becoming more and more efficient. And then today, there are quite a few organizations, non-governmental organizations, industry associations and groups, institutes and institutions set up to create standards, set up the tools for evaluating and comparing Mr. A to Mr. B to Mr. C's energy or for sustainability focus and results. And if we all report and collate our results using the same format, we can now know who is at what level and the other. So what these standards have created is, we talk about the building code. The building code is like the lowest level of standard. That's the minimum requirement acceptable by law, right? Above this, these other organizations set up standards that if you meet a certain standard by the kind of assessments of your sustainability measures and initiatives, they will use the organizational stamp and image to issue you a certificate to say, we have evaluated you and we know that you are this good in sustainability, so that you know where you stand relative to other people who are implementing sustainability. So whether it's ISO processes you are deploying for certifications, the BREEAM or LEED or Green Edge, we'll talk about them in a bit. And then, of course, in some countries, government offers incentives and even penalties for sustainability, because at the end of the day, it is from each person being able to save that will not have an aggregate saving of total impacts, negative or positive on the earth. So what are some of the things that people have tried to just reduce your carbon footprint? LED lighting, I think that's been a big revolution, in the last 10 years, LED lighting and motion of occupancy sensors have been very effective in reducing energy consumption. But think about it. Lights versus other energy consumers like pumps and chillers and air conditioning systems and heating appliances, which one has more energy consumption? Because you need to deal with the small things and also the big things, right? So we've achieved a lot with LED and it becomes so cheaper nowadays. But we have air conditioning systems that are not energy efficient. So if you see the cost of buying maybe an inverter air conditioner that is energy efficient compared to a normal air conditioner, you will see the cost and you probably be scared of thinking that it's better to buy the normal one. But if you can do that math, 70% energy reduction, take the amperage or kilowatts reading on each of them and multiply that by how many hours you typically run that AC in a day. Work that out for 1 year and let me know if that difference in energy consumption, the cost is not going to be significant. With the cost of energy from the grid rising above 200 naira per kilowatt hour and diesel and petrol rising above 1,000 naira per liter, I'm sure you can get a sense of. So it's going to be some thinking that you need to do based on the calculations that make sense. Okay. Incorporation of smart building automation systems. These helps to create awareness of how energy is actually being used. Monitoring is a big aspect of energy efficiency. If you are not monitoring, if you are not metering, you don't know exactly how energy is being used. Some of us have meters, and we are happy we have meters, check meters, prepaid meters. It tells us how much we are consuming per time, right? But how does that aggregate billing or consumption, how is it made up? All the various switches, fuses, and breakers and sockets that we have in our facility, they all consume, differently. We need to be able to go beyond the aggregate and see how we can meter at those levels. And this is very simple, very simple. Now we have systems like smart distribution boards, where we just replace the fuse blocks you have in your distribution boards or the breakers you have in your panels with smart ones that are IoT enabled, Internet of Things enabled. They can connect through Wi-Fi, they can connect through SIM card, and they can publish live real-time data on what is being consumed per circuit. So if I plug in my television to a particular circuit, I know what that circuit is. All my lights are in one circuit, I know what that fuse is. My air conditioner is in one circuit, I know what that fuse is. I replace all of this with smart breakers that gives me that information real time. So when my aggregate bill comes at the end of the day, I'm not wondering what contributed to it. Some of you have water heaters that are on. It just stays on. It mellows down and heats up, mellows down and heats up continuously. When it's time for you to take a shower, for example, you don't even use hot water or use very little of it. But by the time you know how much that is contributing to your bill, if in a month you realize that water heater has contributed 60,000 naira to your bill for water that you don't even use hot water to bathe, what will you do? You see that what that intelligence will do, because you will monitor that specifically. If you know that when you leave your living room and you go to the bedroom and you leave the AC running in the living room for 5 hours or 6 hours or overnight for 9 hours when you go to bed, for example, if you know what that is costing you now because you're monitoring at that level, it becomes easier to make the decision. Smart operational adjustments. You can decide, oh, well, we would tell ourselves to go switch things off, which is good. Like, I'll always go around the house, switch off lights in my children's rooms, just to make sure that we save. Even if it's LED, it's still consuming energy. So put them off if you are not there. Put off water heater if you don't need it. Put off your TV socket and remove all kinds of standby stuff from your spaces. Put off the AC if you are not in that room using the AC. And if it is cold and outside is rainy, why not enjoy that? Why do you lock yourself up and put on the AC when, think about it. Now you know how much everyone costs, right? Now I can go beyond that need to make the change to get to the point where I now set up a system that automatically acts. For example, it's still possible to forget to put off the AC when I'm leaving. But if I connect an occupancy sensor to that space and synchronize it with the AC controller, I'll program it to tell the AC controller that nobody's here anymore. Automatically go off. These are things that you used to have in very sophisticated, very expensive buildings, where if you don't spend 500 million or 1 billion, you don't have a building management system, all wired up and set up. Now there are simple systems, $10, $5 items you can buy and connect and just do simple smart home configuration. In your phone with an app, you can have complete visibility and complete control of everything. So if your light bill comes to 100,000 naira at the end of the month, office or home, right? You know exactly that 100,000 naira is worth spending. You know exactly what it was spent on. We have to get there, okay? So that before you start getting involved in renewable energy, make sure that you have full visibility of all your energy consumption, full clarity that there's no wastage in your system. Because one, the cost of renewable energy solutions are still very expensive. Solar panels run into millions very easily. You tell somebody who normally pays 100,000 per month as light bill to come and set up a solar system for 5.7 million. And he's thinking 100,000 per month, 5.7 million, that's 57 months, 2.5 years of continuously paying my 100,000 naira. Why do I want to spend that on solar panels with batteries? An upfront investment, thinking about the time value of money. That is something to think about, because if you think about how long the batteries are going to last, how long the solar panels are going to last, and you compute what your return on investment is from, for each year of having that system, you probably will just keep on paying your 100,000 naira and forget about it because it's expensive. But because it is something that supports sustainability, reduces your carbon footprint and your impact on the environment, you still want to. But how much, which capacity do you want to invest that money on? It has to be absolutely necessary. So what do? I first of all factor out, look at all of my loads. I've set up monitoring. I've removed all the inefficient use of energy. I've cut out waste from my system. And then I'll tell myself, there are so many things in my facility that if they are off for 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, it's not critical. I can still continue my business. The air conditioning is off for 30 minutes, 1 hour. I'll still be fine. I'll still get by, right? So it's not necessary for me to create a redundant system, N+1, main plus backup, for that. What is critical? I have a server that must always be on. So if power goes out, I need to have a backup. So why don't I think about installing a renewable source as my backup instead of using a diesel generator to back up the grid for critical things? So I know exactly where the loads that are critical are, and I set up a solar system package, quite expensive, but as at the time I'm using it, it is giving me solutions to very critical systems, very mission critical equipment and loads in my facility. So that's a smart move if I'm making that investment. I'm not going to set it up with the capacity to cover my air conditioners and my water heaters and my pressing iron and my electric cookers I won't do that because the cost per kilowatt hour production of energy with it is expensive. You know, we said you have to have the triple bottom line, right? Economic, which means profits, environmental, which is planet, and social, which is people, impact. Okay, so because I want to do that, I don't want to waste money on any energy, any load that is not critical. So I fine-tune, and just decide that this is the capacity I need. I invest in just that capacity. Now, even if you think about the batteries that go with these systems, you probably will think twice again about storage. Secure it, free energy from the sun through solar. You store it in batteries so you can use later, and the batteries run down in 3 to 5 years. And then you have to reinvest in buying another set of batteries. So don't take it for granted and say, oh, when I install my solar is 25 years. It's just the panels that are 25 years. The batteries need replacement regularly, or they'll be no good. And also consider setting up a solar farm that can harness the energy of the sun during the day, so you don't really need to worry about storage. Synchronize that energy use with your current dual energy source, the grid and your generators. So that way, the grid can be off. Your generators will also be off during the day because the sun is shining, and you don't need to store. So at night, if you were on solar alone, you would have had to depend on storage with the batteries. At night, you cannot depend on the grid. And if that fails, your generators can kick in. You are creating a transition approach so that you use resources more sustainably, okay? Other renewable sources like wind turbines, geothermal, they've not been very well applied around us. Wind turbines are supposed to be very straightforward, but because of our urban construction and slum nature of our existence, you may not have the wind force to propel turbines of commercial scope. So those can be deployed in desert regions, in other arid areas where you don't have obstructions to the flow of wind energy. But again, there are some micro turbines now, little fans that are in the market that can be set up when you know that the wind flows across certain spaces or dimensions in your area, and tap into that power. Geothermal is tapping into the heat effects of the underground subterranean spaces that we stay. If you have hot up here in the aerial space, under maybe a different temperature, cold, the same thing. But it doesn't apply to us. It's more effective for people in temperate environments. So I don't recommend anybody trying to go and steal technology or borrow technology to start trying geothermal in Nigeria. It doesn't make sense. But biomass is something that should be encouraged. Biomass is something that should be encouraged. It's a system of incubating our waste, allowing it to degrade, whether with bacteria or other means, and then generating methane, which is an energy gas that can be burnt to generate energy or used for heat creation and cooking and the rest. Okay. So any green energy source is a good one. When we talk about nuclear, we are not even there yet. We don't have anything like that around us. So let's just move on. But for you to know what is happening regarding energy in your facility, you need to be able to do an energy audit. You have to identify at a basic level what actually consumes energy. What consumes energy? That's the first thing. I have air conditioners, I have fans, I have lights, I have sockets where things are plugged in, and these are the things that are plugged in them. These are the ratings of those points. This is, this is how much they consume, each of them. So doing an energy audit, I want to plug in meters on all of my energy consuming loads and develop an energy use profile. So this thing is working at this time to this time, or it's not working at this time to this time. And when it's working, this is the amount of energy it's consuming. When this kind of load is on, this amount of energy is consuming. It generates a profile because I'm monitoring, maybe for a short period of time, but I don't have an energy management system in place. So that's the basic level. First, identify out of all my assets, which ones consume energy, and how much will they consume per time and per load that I impose on them. The second one is the things that generate energy, that use energy rather, what do they give, right? So a water heater produces hot water. An air conditioner produces cold air, comfort cooling. A light fitting provides lights, right? Now, I'll not look past the equipment itself to the efficiency of what they are providing. If I have an air conditioner that's supposed to be cooling this space, right? How efficient is this space? First, how many people are in this space? Second, how insulated, thermally insulated is this place to make that energy, that cooling that AC is given to be efficient. So I have to do that as my second level in energy audits. So I look at my windows. Is the AC trying to cool the garden by being cold outside? I look at the doors. Are there crevices where cooling is, thermal insulation is being lost? Looking at the level of reflection of my windows. Is the sun hitting directly and coming in and then creating a heat effect inside that the AC has to find a way to cool? All kinds of things go into that evaluation for energy efficiency of my space. Then I will now move from there to start analyzing the various energy efficiency initiatives I can implement, right? Should I improve my windows? Should I coat my roof to be more reflective? Should I insulate my walls? Should I maintain my equipment better so that something that should be producing cooling is not producing noise and heat in addition, because energy is also going into that thing I don't want it producing. If a light is producing heat, in the process of bringing light, for me, that heat is being paid for, but I don't need the light to produce heat, and it's producing heat, right? It's being paid for with energy that goes into that light fitting. In addition to that, the air conditioner that has to absorb and dissipate that heat is also using energy that I'm paying for. So, so think about it, it's a system. It's a system. And then think about each of those energy load items. How efficient are they? Something was listed as 1.9 kilowatt hour rating, right? But now I'm monitoring it in my energy audit. I realize that it's actually consuming 2.43, 2.45 kilowatt hours. Think about what the implication of that is. If that AC typically works 12 hours a day, and the difference between its rated energy consumption and what it's actually consuming is up to 20% or 25%. That's 1 hour, multiply it by the cost of a kilowatt hour, multiply it by the 12 hours of the day, multiply it by 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, even 5 years, depending on how the life cycle of that equipment or load consuming device, and you will see how serious a waste that you are perpetrating in your operations. So be conscious. Once you do that calculation, you will now get a sense of where the energy is actually going. Some vibration, some noise, some heat, some arcing and cooling down in the electrical systems, all kinds of things. And sometimes overloading, making the equipment to overwork itself. So you look at everything from the loads, the assets that consume the energy, produce the energy load, all the way to how they interact with the users and the buildings to get it right. Okay. Once you have done an energy audit and you have the energy efficiency improvement initiatives outlined, when you implement them, people often take it for granted that once I implement them, everything will improve, our energy consumption will drop. But you need to know. That's why you now need to have an energy monitoring system in place. Something that gives you intelligence on the critical loads that you've identified before and how they continuously use energy. You have information now on things you can do and things that people who use it will need to do to reduce energy consumption. If those things are not being done, are you realizing an energy reduction in those assets? You need to know. So that's why we recommend an energy management system, smart monitoring of your buildings. Whether you're going to use a smart plug and play energy monitoring system like the Scope that we have in Max-Migold, or you want to have smart DBs that not only gives you intelligence and data on what is working, how much energy is consuming, but also gives you remote control. So an EMS becomes a BAS, energy management system becomes a building automation system, where you can automatically control remotely, put things off, reduce energy consumption, or even program into the software certain actions that should happen based on certain signals, like having occupancy sensors, having temperature sensors, and so on and so forth, triggering certain controllers to go off or on, depending on how those sensors, what data those sensors bring on for you. And then as you are improving your systems, you're also thinking of how others are doing. Because you may be so satisfied with your performance, but management is still complaining that energy is too high, we can't pay this cost, and so on and so forth, right? Before you say, I'm doing well, or I need to improve more, it's also important to see how other organizations or other departments who are doing well in energy efficiency or sustainability are doing. So benchmarking is very important. Based on this, you establish your gap analysis and you begin to set up targets for energy reduction, based on the audit finding. And then you set up energy performance metrics to guide decision-making or sustainable facility operations. What does this mean? If you know your total consumption, that number is really not relevant to sustainability. Total consumption, you have to divide it by what are your key drivers of energy consumption, for example, or water consumption. That's what a metric is. A metric is a ratio, a performance ratio, right? So if I have 100 people and I use 100 kilowatt hours of energy per hour, it means that per person who sits in my office or visits, we consume 1 kilowatt hour every hour. That's the one that's a metric. Because if everybody coming into the business are here to produce something, I want more people to come in. So I don't necessarily want to say I must not use more than 100 kilowatt hours in my organization. No, I want my people to increase from 100 to 1,000 to 10,000. So my business become bigger, isn't it? But the rate at which my energy consumption increases should be slower than the rate of my growth. That's where performance comes in. So when we go from 100 to 1,000, I don't expect to have an increase from 100 kilowatt hours to 1,000 kilowatt hours. If I get to 500 kilowatt hours, which is 5 times my former total consumption, I have actually halved my unit consumption. And I would say I have increased my efficiency of energy performance by 100%, even though my total energy consumed has gone from 100 to 500, which is times 5. So that's why we always think about performance metrics. So whenever you are giving reports or discussing sustainability, always think about performance metrics. Okay, so I'm going to stop here for today. I'll extend this webinar to next week. We'll look at water, we'll look at other sustainability measures, and we'll talk, to a large extent on some other conclusions on how to implement sustainability initiatives in our facilities. So there's still a lot to cover, but our lunch hour is 1 hour, and we'll have to go now. So I'll allow time for questions. Let me see if I can allow you raise your hand on mute if you have a question. Don't forget, our questions can also be on our other platforms, WhatsApp chats, YouTube, just about anywhere else where you're joining us, LinkedIn, Facebook, anywhere you're joining us from right now. And if you are not on the WhatsApp group, Facility Management Training WhatsApp group, I think I'll recommend it. I'll have someone put the joining link on the chat. If you want to learn more about the FM Mastercraft Diploma, please go to maxmigold.com/FMMC or promo.facilitymanagementcourses.com. And we have someone in the team put those on the chat so that everyone can have access to them. Thank you so much. I see that the chat has those. If you have a question, good. No question in the chat, which is good. I hope you've all benefited from this session, and I hope you will invite your friends to join us again next week, Thursday, for another exciting session of the FM Lunch Hour. We'll try to make it richer and richer. And then I want to assure you, we are still working on the second program we want to be having where we'll have panel of discussions, we'll have problem statements come from you so that we can analyze and talk on a live show like this. Okay? For now, enjoy this session that's here from me, fully recorded. Go to our social media platform, especially our YouTube channel, and watch this video, many hundreds of videos, very high quality video training sessions that you can learn for free. So go to Max-Migold channel on YouTube for that. And like and share our posts, connect with us, and stay informed as we continue to do these weekly sessions. Thank you very much, and have a good rest of the week. See you again on Thursday next week. Bye.